And I would even be interested in kind of knowing even separately for that, like what's happening with local growers and how the local food movement is potentially a real contributor to economic development in the region. We had Jamie Dove come to this committee meeting some months ago and just give us an example of a real innovator and entrepreneur in the local food movement. And I think we all know that there are quite a few of those folks out there, the locally grown initiative in Jonesboro and others. But it's just, it feels like, and I think that Commissioner Carragher said it quite well, when we hear from economic development folks, we hear about manufacturing, we hear about technology, entrepreneurialism, we hear about all these other factors. It would be great to be able to put ag in that context and understand like what percentage it represents and sort of how you all are engaged with other regional kind of thought leaders around how agriculture can be one of the economic drivers for the region.
Susan, do you want to answer part of that? You deal with the Boone Street market and everything.
Yeah, so in terms of Appalachian RC&D, which is a separate organization from the partnership, that we are part of the partnership. In fact, we're the fiscal sponsor for the partnership. I would be very glad to speak to that. So what we've seen this year in a COVID year was interesting with the farmers markets and the farmers in the area. We saw the challenge of a supply chain issue with grocery stores. And fortunately, we had farmers here in the area that had, and producers that had ample supply, because that's what they do. And we were able, and at the beginning of the year, there was uncertainty of whether farmers markets were going to be able to open and how they were going to be able to open. So we worked with the farmers markets really across the state to develop some best practices for opening up. And we actually saw the supply chain work very well in the local economy. We at Appalachian RC&D were able to do a web page where farmers in the interim, while they were figuring out the farmers market and getting stuff into the grocery stores and to restaurants that were able to open, we did a farm to folks page where people could connect directly with the farmers that were able to make deliveries or purchase on farm, which I think that's what Mr. Dove did with his farm. Had a lot of folks just coming out to the farm. And we didn't see anything slow down in terms of our folks that were interested in farming as a business. And that's part of our field school that we run, which is a business training course. It's not how to farm, but we saw the interest ramp up. And so we had, with our summer workshops, we moved those to an online format to accommodate the folks we serve, but we saw upwards of 300 across the country coming to those webinars that we had, which is, not a direct impact on Washington County, but we did have a lot of folks within Washington County that were interested in that. I'm not sure if I've adequately answered the question, but
you have, and what I would suggest you all, and this is up to you all, and you can decide how you might do it, or if you even want to do it. But I think it might be nice in the future if you all could come back to the CIA, and hopefully the news media will pick up on it, and just inform us and the taxpayers what the ag business means to Washington County in terms of employment, in terms of revenues produced. I think that would be I think the taxpayers would be interested in seeing that. So if it draws a decision, but at a later date, I would appreciate that. We have a request from Mr. Boer for $2,500 to support the ag business. Do we have a motion and a second on that?
I'll make a motion to support the ag dinner.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second?
Oh, you actually wanted us to make a motion to support the partnership. Am I right?
Correct.
Yes,
Correct.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I just looked at my notes and I was like, oh, Yeah.
Yes, you are right on that.
who knows when we'll ever eat dinner together again? We'll just do
Good point.
Make a motion for $2,500 to the Ag Partnership. We appreciate what you all do.
Yeah. Do we have a second for that? Was it Commissioner Huffine?
Yes.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Ready to vote, and I'll call the roll. Commissioner Huffine?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Tester?
Yes.
And Carragher, yes. It passes. Mr. Brewer, anything else you wish to say, or Mrs. McKinney?
I did look it up here on the 2017, and it was over $42 billion or $42 million that products sold in Washington County.
Okay. But again, I think it's we tout all of our industries, manufacturing, retail, whatever. But I think it would be of interest to the taxpayer. So you it's your all's leisure if you want to do it or not.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments you wish to make, Mr. Brewer?
I appreciate it very much. Thank you, guys.
All right, Ms. McKinney.
Not on the Ag Partnership, sir. But we have a separate presentation. Yeah, so I'm gonna stay on with that.
All right, Roy, are you gonna do the next presentation?
Yes, I'll start it and Susan will finish it. So, a little background. The Council started actually in 1994. It's always been in Washington County, but serves a 6-county region: Carter, Greene, Johnson, Sullivan, Unicorn, Washington County. And from 94 until 2011 was actually supported largely through USDA. In fact, it was my job really to kind of serve in that executive director role. But in 2011, it got cut from the federal budget nationally. But the council was a standalone nonprofit the whole time, and continued, had programs going and continued to thrive, and now has 4 or 5 employees and looking at bringing another one on, and working very strongly in agriculture in the region. And because we are located in Johnson City, a big part of what we do has a strong impact on Washington County, and the large number of our participants are from Washington County because that's where most of the events take place. It's kind of centralized in the region there. But kind of going back a little history, one of the things I'm sure many of you've seen is the quilt trail. We brought that to the region back several years ago, and that drew a lot of attention to farms and agriculture. And what we found out that for farmers that wanted to kind of do some on-farm marketing or things like that, whether it be people coming to buy things directly from them or they're doing ag tourism, it really jumped that up. And some produce stand like the Thompson farm down on 107, it really helped a lot of those businesses continue with that. So that's a program we've still been involved in for some time, and again have always been involved in supporting agriculture in the region. In the last 10 years have kind of gotten a lot more focused towards equipping farmers and kind of going more towards some of the questions that Commissioner Jones talked about, kind of some innovation and things with agriculture and working with, I guess, what I kind of call a newer side of agriculture. And the entrepreneurs that are kind of coming into agriculture are not so much the 1,000-acre growers or 100-acre growers, but are more of the smaller ones like Mr. Dove. And that's a younger population, which is really refreshing in agriculture. So we have a lot of participation in our programs from people that are well below the average age of the Tennessee or Washington farmer. And they're doing things. I mean, you see the way our farmers markets, we have 2 very vital farmers markets in the county. And we've been involved with helping start the Boone Street Market, there in Jonesboro, and a lot of different things. There's a flyer. I don't know if we can get that to the screen share. Or if that got to people. But is that something we could get put up there? Okay, I think it's loading there. And I don't know if you can kind of zoom that, or I don't know how that works there, but kind of looking at just some of the programs as Susan talked about, the Field School Winter Business Intensive. This is we have farmers of all different types and ages, some from, teenagers coming with their parents to some 80 years old that really want to look at farming. And a lot of that is the smaller producers, which are making use of some of these smaller farms that really weren't maybe being used as productive as they were in the past, because, 15 or 20 acres is hard for a farmer that's doing conventional agriculture to really use. So I think we're really equipping a lot of these farmers to learn about, growing things on a smaller scale, but a much higher income per acre when you're talking about produce and things like that, or small ruminants or chickens or whatever. So, we've had a lot of popularity with that. That's a growing program. It's been going on for several years now. Ben, we strongly promote the farmers markets in the region. Of course, Washington County, having two of them, gets a lot of that promotion and just doing a lot of different things. Susan, maybe you tell a little bit about the Pharmacy Fit program, what that does with the Johnson City Farmers Market. You're muted, Susan.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about that. Yeah, and thanks so much again for allowing us the opportunity to be here today. So the Pharmacy Fit sprung off of another project that we did, but the Pharmacy Fit was a small pilot program that we ran. We got a $10,000 grant from the Tennessee Department of Health, in which folks go out to the farmers market and they walk 1 mile, and they got $3 in incentive tokens that they could spend at the farmers market only on fresh fruits and vegetables from the vendors at the farmers market. So, it didn't go to donuts or anything like that. So we had a little bit of funding from that had to go into, buying the tokens, and we those with the top number of miles put in, we gave out T-shirts for those folks, but we put 7,500 of that 10,000 directly into the pockets of the farmers, into their revenues. So we are actually trying to get that program back up and running. We, faced the challenge that we had this year with COVID, but hopefully that's something we can get going again next year. So, whatever we do in terms of our service to the community, it's for the community members, but also to the agricultural entrepreneurs in our community. And we want to make sure that those funds are getting to them to help support them and the agricultural economy in Washington County. So that's been one of our, the farmers market folks are fantastic. So we also have a farmers market promotion project, and it's funded by the USDA, and where we're able to teach them how to do their own marketing. So it's for sustainability of their farmers markets. We teach them how to do promotion farmers market marketing, as well as, best practices for farmers markets and things like that. So we just want to get them where they need to be for sustainability and support them in an ongoing way. Even when the grant funds run out, we'll continue to support them however we can in that, with these kinds of classes and things like that. And then also our SNAP promotion, we ran a double dollars program in the past. So we're looking for funding for that again. That would promote, folks can go to the farmers market and spend their SNAP dollars, and up to a certain amount, we can double the funds, so that all of those funds go again directly to the farmers and the agricultural producers in the area.
Yeah, we've done farm tours. It's a recent thing. We didn't do it this year, obviously, but that has encouraged people. People actually pay a little fee to get a map and guidance and go around, and we had a lot of participation in Washington County. We're sending people directly out to the farms. They're buying directly from farmers where they raise blueberries, eggs, and nursery crops or various things like that. That's been very, very popular. We were looking for a good year this year. The year before, it was pouring down rain, but we still had a lot of people coming through to a lot of locations and really trying to get people to buy there directly from those farmers, the locally grown stuff, which obviously, like anything locally made, has a much more stronger impact on the economy than buying something that's brought in here. So we really promote, buying the local, because that turns dollars more than I think anything that can be done. as far as, a retail product that's manufactured or grown or crafted here. So, we would like to ask for $2,500 in support, just kind of our general support. Like I said, we no longer get federal or state or any kind of support for rent, employment, or anything like that. We do this with grants and donations, and just to kind of have a little bit towards our overhead would be a big help towards us.
All right. Thank you all for the presentation. I'll open it up for committee members for questions or comments.
Just a question. What's the biggest barrier right now for your kind of newer side, kind of entrepreneurial agriculture movement? Are there what's keeping that from flourishing even more than it is?
We found, let me make sure I'm not muted. So we have found that the biggest challenge is access to farmland, because, land is expensive, and particularly so in Washington County. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And, that's great for those of us who are, hold land. So, but not so good for the farmers. So we actually created Tennessee Farmlink, and we based it off of what we saw in some other states. So it is kind of like a match.com for farmers and landowners. So if they want to lease land, or they have land for sale, or want a farm manager, and we've seen examples of all those things happen across the state. But, we've had a lot of success here in Washington County with Farmlink.
Any other committee members have questions or comments? All right. Seeing none, we ready to act? Do we have a motion to contribute $2,500 for general support?
I would make a motion to support with $2,500. I think that's really important.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is that Commissioner Huffine?
Yes, sir.
Getting to know voices now. We have a proper motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we're ready to vote. I'll call the roll. Commissioner Huffine?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Tester?
Yes.
And Carragher. And we will send these to the Budget Committee and then to the full commission for action. I appreciate you all being here today, and I really would love to see, again, a presentation in the future that would bring our taxpayers up to speed on what's going on with agriculture in Washington County.
Sure.
We can provide that, absolutely.
Yeah. If there's no further comments, we'll move on to an update from Mayor Grandy on regional economic development. Mayor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Commissioner Carragher, before our guests leave today, can you give me some clarification in the wording of the support for these two separate resolutions? I have the RCD council, but it sounds like it's $2,500 for two separate programs, and I just want to be sure that we have these resolutions prepared, and I don't have that. Could you just give me that, or give me an email address or some contact? I'm happy to chase it down and let you move forward, but I will need that today.
Roy, if you and Susan could supply that.
Yes, we can. And I know this looks a little confusing, but because the Ag Partnership is a partnership, we didn't see the need to form its own organization. So the RC&D Council has served as the fiscal sponsor from day one for that. But we can, I think, provide that to both. And Allison, you may still have my email address, do you?
I do, and I'll reach out to you. I just wanted to be sure that we knew to be in contact today, and I don't want to belabor this committee, but I will reach out to you, and I appreciate the detail. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Allison, thank you. That's what you get paid money for, is the details.
That's right.
Any other comments? Any other comments or questions before we move to the mayor? All right, seeing none, Mayor, you're up. Good to see you this morning.
Hey, good morning. Thanks. So it's sort of a transition from vehicle to gas. Hopefully this will be a little more stable. I just wanted to spend a minute or two and not take up too much of your time, but bring you an update on what's going on regional economic development front. As you know, our current economic development platform that Washington County supports is NetRep, the Northeast Tennessee Regional Development Partnership, and that's an organization that supports the Johnson City MSA. So that would be the counties of Unicoi, Carter, and Washington, and the towns therein. So that organization is where economic development dollars currently are placed. As you know, there's been a lot of discussion about trying to create a regional platform that is a little more robust and obviously supports a bigger footprint. Despite COVID and a lot of distractions that relate to that, the work on creating a regional entity has gone on, and it's had some starts and stops. And you probably read about the discussions between NetRep and NetWorks, which is the Sullivan County and Hawkins County economic development entity for traditional economic development. There's been discussion around that. You've seen articles in the Business Journal and other places about a regional hub to support economic development activity. So I can just share with you that at present, the regional hub is probably within weeks of being established, and it's going to be an offshoot, not controlled by, but an offshoot of the First Tennessee Development District. So the First Tennessee Development District, as you may or may not know, is an existing platform that supports activities for 8 counties in Northeast Tennessee. So that would be Hancock, Hawkins, I think I can get them all, Sullivan, Washington, Greene, Johnson, Unicoi, and Carter. Those 8 counties are hooked together in an organization that is funded through the state and locally, that is managed. The board of directors for that organization is every mayor in those 8 counties, cities, towns, Mossheim, Wide Spot in the Road, you name it. It's like 40 directors. That's the organization. So there's already a platform that brings the local political entities together. And so we thought it made sense as we move forward to utilize that platform without creating a new one to support local political entities, which is really very important with respect to economic developments. That's what the states recognize and so forth. So this hub is close to being put together. There is an initial CEO that is on a handshake basis agreed to step up and take the leadership. And so within probably weeks, that'll be in place. Now, what does that mean for us? NetRep sometime in 2021 will likely fold into that. So our support through NetRep will be channeled to this hub organization, and it will pull the initial expectation is that it's going to pull 5 to maybe all 8 counties together under one sort of coordinated effort. So that means that on an economic development basis, we can speak from the strength of 8 counties with respect to population, economic enterprise, GDP, workforce development, and so forth. It will give us a different look the outside world for folks that are looking to relocate businesses or expand businesses in this part of the state. The initial components will, in addition to potentially traditional economic development, will also be workforce development, a robust approach and coordinated effort around entrepreneurism, and a regional marketing platform that will include tourism. So a lot of components coming together, but this organization will be similar to NetRep in structure in that it will be a public-private partnership. So the full burden of regional economic development won't be left strictly with government. It'll be shared by businesses that participate in or essentially enhanced by a stronger economic region going forward. So I'll stop there, and just if there's questions, I'll be happy to take them, but I didn't really want to, have just a whole new economic development component be announced at some point in the first quarter of 2021 without giving you all a little bit of a heads up and let you weigh in on things of interest that you might have. So again, I'll stop there.
All right. Does any of our committee members have questions? All right, Jody.
Of course I have questions. The Mayor, thank you for giving us this update. And, I think you're coming to us and letting us know about some of this evolution, and maybe some of us have heard a little bit here and there and not been able to put it all together. So this kind of communication really is great. And I think your sense that, we would want to know that is great. With a bigger entity, we had NetRep and it was in our own county and it was representing 3 counties. Now we're going to something that's representing 8 counties. I think communication like this is going to be really important. And I wondered if you all had started talking about how to communicate to this kind of vast number of stakeholders, all the different county commissions and city commissions. And I mean, there's so many people now that have a stake in the decisions that are made that the communication process is almost as important as sort of the strategic goals and all the other stuff that you all have put so much time and work into.
Great question. And actually, I'm glad you asked that, because the initial group that's planned to start this hub will consist of the CEO, an admin or operations type person, and a marketing communications person. So as you point out, Commissioner Jones, the delivery of the message is absolutely critical to the organization. And so one of the very first people that will be part of this organization will be that communications component. Great question.
Any other questions?
Chairman Carrier?
Yes.
Mr. Tester, will there be like a board of directors or something, or will the county commission have representatives that's on a board or something that will help lead this organization? I know this is. Go ahead, Mayor. Thank you for that too. I'll just say that I'll echo what Commissioner Jones said.
Yeah, so the hub itself is currently envisioned, as we're structuring it, to have an 11-member executive board and a 20 to 30 member advisory or community board. So again, this is a public-private entity. The structure of it is very similar to NetRep. So if you look at our representation on the executive board in NetRep, the county is represented and will be represented in this organization. So of the 11, 4 elected mayors, county mayors will be assigned to the board. 4 business partners will be assigned to the board. 2 elected, or not elected, but 2 people from the social sector. So that's a little different component than what we've had in the past. And then 1 city administrative type. So that would be a Pete Peterson, a Todd Smith, Bill Sara, or say a Chris from Kingsport. Somebody, a person that's very much involved in administration, but not necessarily elected. So that's the 11. The community board or the advisory board will be expanded. It would include chamber members. It would include more business sector members. It would include more local elected officials, commissioners of various counties on a rotating basis, and others. So that's the structure as initially put in place. This board will govern it, so it's going to be a component of the First Tennessee Development District, but not governed by the First Tennessee Development District. So it will be governed by its own board. NetRep will continue to stay in place, as will other local economic entities. As if you think about traditional economic development, where we're dealing with prospects coming in, looking at, let's just say we have a prospect come in this morning, for example, to look at a site in our industrial park. So when that person lands at Greenville Airport in their private jet, they're going to be picked up by Mitch Miller and Alicia Summers and taken to the site where other coordinated effort like utility people, like from electric, water, sewer, the engineer for the park, all these people who can answer questions, people from Atlas, we meet with them to answer any questions. And so that would be the same whether a client was coming to Sullivan County, Unicoi County, part of whatever. There needs to be local feet on the ground. So there will be a local component, probably in all of the counties. In some cases, we may have a person that would be a shared person. Pala, for example, is now sort of covering Carter and Unicoi County that does that type of work. So that's the initial structure. Does that begin to answer that question, sir?
Yes. Great.
I think Commissioner Huffine had a question.
Yeah, Mayor, you made a comment there. 5 to 8 counties would participate. Is there some reluctance from a few counties, or do you expect full participation?
Well, Sullivan County is very much involved, but as I'm sure you've read, their economic structure over there in networks is a little more complicated for them than it is in NetRep, because there are representatives and there are financial supporting entities that include the county, Bristol, and Kingsport. They're not exactly aligned today as to how they want to move forward in some of this effort. But NetRep board voted 2 months ago to move forward with the creation of the hub, bringing in the 3 counties that it currently represents, plus Johnson, plus Greene County. And so where that leaves the other three, Sullivan and Hawkins. They work together, and then Hancock is, currently sort of on its own. But so how exactly that comes, how that gets folded into the hub organization over time is to be determined at this point. That's why I think we can safely say that 5 are aligned in the hub today, and the other 3 will be coming on board. Now, that is, when you think about networks, for example, the only thing that they focus on in networks is traditional economic development. That's business recruitment and that sort of thing. So other components that I mentioned that are part of the hub, all of those will probably participate in initially. So that would be regional marketing, tourism, workforce development, and regional marketing and tourism really involve more than Northeast Tennessee. Workforce for our region includes pieces of Kentucky, certainly Southwest Virginia, parts of Northwest North Carolina, in addition to Northeast Tennessee. So our workers don't recognize state lines. They work. Eastman brings in folks from all of those places I just mentioned. So does Nuclear Fuel, so does Hexpool, and others of our larger employers. So workforce development naturally transitions not just county lines, but also state lines. Tourism will as well, probably. And our entrepreneurs are, we expect to be able to attract people from really a lot of sectors across the United States as people are looking for a different environment and for folks who can work at home. Really, they're looking for a good quality of life, good cost basis. As long as they have connectivity, they're usually good to go. So, now,
any other questions of the mayor?
Yeah.
Mayor, I've got 2 questions. What's it going to cost the taxpayers? And second question is this going to be a not-for-profit charter, or how's the legal entity going to be structured?
Foundation will be a 501c3, so that would allow business entities to participate. So the answer financially to your question is not going to be an additional ask from the government entities. We're already participating, at budget levels, and the additional support is coming from the private sector. And as you probably have read and listened to the chamber people talk over the last 18 to 24 months, there's really a demand from local business sector to have an entity in which they can participate. And so this is the structure that will allow that. As you know, NetRep is financed by Johnson City and Washington County pretty much in equal shares, and then on a per capita basis with Carter and Unicoi County. So that's the government financing of NetRep. That represents about 45% of the total budget, and the balance comes from business entities such as ETSU, Ballard, Mulligan Flooring, General Shale, Eastman Credit Union. What we get in the hub organization is the ability to reach out to those people in addition to businesses who want to participate that are outside of those counties. So it would bring Eastman in, it would bring Bristol Motor Speedway in, it will bring a number of other business entities in to finance this. And so the initial structure around the budget, Commissioner Carragher, is plus or minus $2 million, which is a little bit more than NetRep and Networks combined.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Any additional comments or questions?
Commissioner Carrier, just a couple real quick.
Go right ahead.
Mayor, you said earlier that the executive board would have 4 elected mayors, and a quick comment. It seems to me like it would be important that all the counties that are involved in it would have representation, and especially, I mean, from our point of view, from Washington County, obviously our county would need to have representation. I feel like I need to say that as a representative of people in Washington County. And then the other comment, well, along with that, I guess it's kind of a question, who determines, I mean, there's other members on that executive committee, for instance, business partners, and you said 2 social sector, 1 citizen admin person, I think you said. Who determines who those people are? Does the board just fill those spots or something? How they initially get chosen, that kind of thing. And one final comment, I'll be quiet and let you talk, is I feel like it's really important that the meetings of both the executive board and the member 25 to 30 member community advisors board, that the meetings for both of those groups are public meetings and open to the public.
Okay, so your last point there has not yet been determined. So that will be that'll be decided. Just haven't been decided yet, actually. In an organization like that, in the structure, an 11-member board was about the maximum size that was recommended to us by the the folks that we're consulting with as a functional board. And so that in order to get greater representation across the geography, the advisory board was created. So there'll be input from both of those, but really a working board of 11 people is it's really hard to get a lot accomplished when you have 25 or 30 people, trying to, make day-to-day decisions in an organization. So that's where the number of moves moved from 8 to 9 to 11 to get as much representation. I hear what you're saying, that it would be good to have every county participate with someone on the executive board, but in order to give the business sector, who is going to be funding this organization at a higher level than local government is, they wanted about an equal representation. So this is the balanced board that we've come to.
Mayor, will we have a chance to look at the bylaws and the I guess articles of incorporation to look at before we approve anything?
Yeah, I don't know that there's an approval process required. I mean, we really are funding NetRep, who is, that board structure has moved to this to wanting to have this new hub to represent a broader platform. So, but yeah, absolutely, the letters of incorporation and the bylaws and all that would definitely be available.
All right. Any other questions of Mayor Grandy this morning? Well, Mayor, thank you for coming. I appreciate the update, and I'm sure everyone else does. Is there anything else anyone wishes to bring before the committee this morning?
Thank you, Mayor.
Pardon?
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you all for being here, and we will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Tester.
All right.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous, and we adjourn. Thank you all for coming, and have a great Christmas. Take care.
Thank you. You too, Phil.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.